Okay, sir. I'm audible. Right. Okay. Good morning, sir. So, right. So generally, whenever we are developing code, okay, so there is a cost that is associated with the defects. So, for example, uh, okay, sir. This is a developer. This is your tester, and let us assume that this is customer. Generally, what happens? What is the software development life cycle? Developer writes the code, and then it is given to testers uh, to test. Okay, let it be manual testing or automated testing. You will, if it is automated, will you and me as DevOps engineers will create test environments. They will test it, and finally, when they give approval, it will reach the customer. So the flow is developer writes the code, tester tests the application, and finally, customer also uses the application. Okay, right now, generally. Uh, okay. The developer is writing code, is testing the application, and customer uses the application. Okay, right. So generally, the misbehavior, the code which is or the function is not doing good, or whatever is expected out of a program, it is not working correctly. That is something which we call as defect or bug. Okay. So let me try to see if I can find. No, we don't. Okay. Okay. Oh, fine. For some time, let us consider that this is the bug or deviation in your application, and let us try to see what would happen. Okay. First, developer has written the code. Tester has given the approval. Everything is working absolutely fine. And then the customer has started using application. And then the customer finds the defect. Okay. Now, the problem over here is customer has found the defect. He raises the concern. And then again, developer has to fix this defect, give it to testing, and then release it to the customer back. So this is the more costlier operation. Okay. So for your organization, because it takes a lot of, when I say costlier, it is not only finances, it is also with respect to time. Okay, because you have to allocate some of the resources for fixing this issue. That means that your future requirements are getting slower down. Okay. Now, if the same defect is found by tester internally within the organization, it is much better than customer finding it, because at least you can save the release cycle and you can fix the defect. But the best mechanism is if the developer itself finds the defect. So this is the cheapest operation. Okay. But how can developer find defects? The point is the developer can find defects or find if there are some issues if the code is not behaving as what it is expected to. Okay. Code elagavate behave cheyalo ala kaakunda vere lag behave cheste appudu defect vastadi. Right? So now generally all of the organizations prefer developers finding the defects rather than the other stages. But it doesn't mean that it will not happen. But as much as possible, developer should be finding the defects. So how this can be done? Okay, right. So for this, okay, developers are expected to write unit tests. Okay, so unit is basically unit generally refers to the code that is being developed. Okay, so for whatever code which developer is developing, he is expected to write tests as well. He is expected to write tests as well. Okay, right. Now to do this in Python, we have two popular ways. One is there is something called as a unit test library. And the other one is there is something called as PyTest. So this is an external library. Okay. Now, let me try to define what external libraries are. External libraries are generally referred as so you and me are not the only people who are writing Python code. There are many people who have written the Python code and they make it available for others. Okay. So those things are something which are considered as packages. Okay. So in Python, what we can do is, in addition to standard libraries, we have lots of external packages. So if you try to look into it, so over here, if you try to look into Python packages, now are you seeing there are too many things over here? Or you can browse projects. Then it is asking, okay, these are the different areas. What is it you are trying to look out for? Okay. So for example, I am trying to look out for frameworks. And are you seeing AWS CDK, any, be it? You have too many things over here. But let me try to make it simple for you. So for example, I want to basically do something like I want to build games. So there is something called as Pygame. So using this package, what I can do is I can start building. Okay. Right. So I want to build desktop applications. Okay. So using these packages, I can build desktop applications. There are lots of external packages. All of your machine learning libraries. Okay. So NLPs and all that stuff, they're all external packages to Python. So for example, for the people who learn data science, they start by learning about something called as pandas, and then they start learning about something called as NumPy. This is easy in computing values, especially which are NumPy is all about data in the form of array computing. So whenever you want to deal with arrays, okay. So Python has lots of external packages. Okay. So now if I try to look into, are there any packages for unit tests? Okay, are you saying there is unit test? There are loads of things over. Okay, but in this, one of the popular framework is PyTest. Okay, now whenever you try to touch any package, this package will always be giving some releases. So I think July 25th they gave 8.3.2. July 20 they have given 8.3.1. So there will be different versions that will be released. Now, as a developer in my project, I might be using any version. Okay, or I might have two different projects in my organization, which one uses 8.2.2, other one uses 8.3.1. That is completely possible. Okay, right. So to make these things possible, right, to deal with multiple packages with different versions, it is recommended to use virtual environment for every project. So generally, if I want to use that package, I have to download it onto my system. So which version should I download? Okay. So I have two projects. One uses x.y.c, other one uses a.b.c. So what Python tries to tell us, for every project, try to create a virtual environment. In this virtual environment, whatever is required for your project, try to install there. So if I have two projects, I'll have two virtual environments. If I have three projects, I'll have three virtual environments. So each of this will have their own running versions. Okay. So to manage packages, that is dependencies, because I am trying to depend on PyTest now. Okay, మన దేని మీద డిపెండ్ అవుతున్నాం దాని డిపెండెన్సీ అంటాం, right? So Python has pip. Pip can manage Python dependencies. Is pip the only thing? No. So there are many other things also. There is something called as pipex that has basically came. There are some other recently they have introduced something like I'll try to tell you what was that. I forgot. Handling or alternatives to pip. Poetry, right? So there is something called as PPNV, poetry, and then generally you will see something called as Anaconda. Conda is also one way of basically trying to do everything. Most popular one is pip, but still there are other things also. Okay, in almost all the projects you would see majorly pip, but it doesn't mean that it has to be only pip. There are other things also. Okay, right. So now what we'll try to do is, let's do this activity. Okay, I am working on some data science project. Okay, this project requires pandas and numpy. Okay, let's see how to create virtual environment for this. For the people who are using Linux or Mac, wherever I use Python. So for example, if I'm trying to do Python main.py, I think you should be using Python 3 main.py. This is the only difference. Okay. So wherever I am using pip, you should use pip 3. Okay. That would be the difference. Fine, sir. So now what I'll do is let me basically get into CD, C drive, temp, because this is something which I will not want to commit. Okay. Make there. Fact or understanding packages, cd understanding packages, and let me try to create my first project. So make dir my first data science project. I'm not going to do anything in data science. I'm just trying to show how would I basically do dependencies over. So I'll get into my first data science. Okay. Now, so create a folder. Okay, that is what I've done. Yeah. Now create virtual environment. And to create that virtual environment, you have to use Python -m venv dot venv. So that means that all the packages try to store that in a folder which is called as .venv. So let me execute Python -m venv dot venv. Right. Now, if you try to look into this, you should be seeing a folder called as .venv, where in the same folder where you are present. So in this project, whatever you download, that will be present in this .venv folder, and it is local to your project. Yeah. Okay, sir. Now install, activate virtual environment. So to activate virtual environment on a Windows system, it is .venv. So whatever folder where you have stored. So in my case, I'm storing all my virtual environments in .venv / script / activate. అనుకుంటున్నాను ఇదే. I don't remember that because I use tabs. Yeah. Right, sir? Yeah. Fine. And if you are using Mac or Linux, activating virtual environment Python in Ubuntu, you need to use source and virtual venv. You need to use source, whatever your folder is, bin and activate. So in this case, if you have followed the same structure, it would be Linux or Mac. You would be trying to write source .venv and bin / activate. Antena? Yeah. So if you're using in Mac, you would be doing that. And Mac, one more thing would be, so you would not, or Mac or Windows. Here also, let me try to do it. Create a virtual environment. If it is in Windows, this is what it is. If it is in Mac or Linux, generally you would have Python 3 -m venv dot. Okay. Now over here on Linux or Mac, you will be using this. So then your actual environment will be downloaded. Okay. Right. Now let's see what are the local packages in this environment. So for that, what you can do is, okay, again, Windows, you can execute pip freeze. On Linux or Mac, execute pip3 freeze. So since it is a Windows machine, I'll be using pip freeze. So right now there is nothing. Okay, because we have not installed anything. Okay, right, sir. Now let's install NumPy. Okay, if it is Windows, pip install NumPy. So this you should execute in the activated environment. Okay. In the case of Linux or Mac, you would be using pip3 install. So I think it is trying to download. Where is it downloading into? .venv folder, because that is also your virtual environment. Okay. Now it is trying to tell if you want, you can upgrade this pip also. If you want, you can run this. There is no harm in doing that. So pip konja old version on the system 23.1.2. It is trying to tell that if you do this, it will be upgraded. Okay. Now let us see what has happened in virtual environment. Okay. So if you try to look into include virtual environment, lib, site packages, are you saying we got the stuff? Yeah. These are all the dependencies which your Python project will be using locally. Now, install pandas in same way. So, package name is pandas. So on Windows, I'll be installing pip install pandas, and on the Mac, you would be installing pip3 install pandas. Pip install. So it will be downloading pandas and whatever is required for pandas to work. Okay, sir. So now let me execute pip freeze command. Are you seeing this? You get package names as well as versions. Okay. Now execute pip freeze. When I say pip freeze, it will be pip3 freeze there. Now redirect the output of pip freeze to requirements.txt. So for this, what you would be trying to do is pip freeze requirements.txt. Am I clear on this, sir? So now if you try to open are you seeing requirements.txt, which has all the requirements? Yeah. So in version control systems, we will not be committing .venv. Rather, we commit requirements.txt. Okay. Now let me try to show you this. Okay, what is it trying to tell? Developers generally don't commit venv, they commit only requirements.txt. So let me remove this .venv. Okay, let us assume that you have cloned the code, you got the code, and you see requirements.txt. Then what is that you are supposed to do? So open this folder in terminal. So cd, and then you would try to, okay, this folder doesn't have virtual environment, so let me try to create a virtual environment first. venv dot venv. I'll create a virtual environment, but it will not have any packages. Okay. Now I will try to activate the virtual environment. Scripts activate. In the case of Linux, source venv bin activate. Okay. Now what I'll try to do is pip install -r requirements.txt. So this means that install all the packages which are mentioned in requirements.txt. The moment I do this, it will start installing NumPy and Pandas or whatever is present in that system. Am I clear on this? So all the Python external packages are handled in this way. Okay, right. So to install packages mentioned in requirements.txt, what is the thing which you need to do? Ensure virtual environment is activated. Now execute pip install -r requirements.txt. Are we clear on this, sir? Yeah. Right. Now what I'll be trying to do is this I'll not be adding in the notes. Okay. Right. So in the class we have discussed about setting up projects to interact with AWS and Azure. So for example, okay, I want to write some code, and in this code, what the thing which I want to do is I want to interact with AWS. Okay, so by writing Python code. So every day, if you want to use AWS, what is that we'll try to do? We'll try to use console. Now I don't want to use console. I want to write Python code. From Python, I want to do something in AWS. So if that is the case, what will I do? So okay. So make dir AWS underscore dev underscore hello. So cd AWS underscore dev underscore hello. Right. Now first let me try to create a virtual environment. Python -m venv dot vn. Okay. So let me try to type AWS SDK Python. So this is also called as Boto 3. In all the other languages, there is no name AWS SDK for Java, AWS SDK for .NET. You see all of this, but when you are speaking about this, it tries to tell that we have something called as Boto. And what is it trying to tell? Pip install Boto 3. So now let me activate this virtual environment venv scripts activate and pip install Boto 3. Okay, done. Now pip freeze requirements.txt. Now let us assume that I have this virtual environment, and in Visual Studio Code, whenever you're working, okay, so the first thing which you can do is Control-Shift-P, command palette, Python, and you will see select interpreter. Click on select interpreter, then select the interpreter from your virtual environment. Okay, and now, so let me try to write main.py. So let me try to write import Boto 3. Okay, so if you try to see this, Boto 3 is the whole library which got downloaded over here. Okay, right. Now Boto3 is a library which has lots of functions which can help you interact. Are you seeing this? Right? So if you want to speak with S3, don't try to look into this code. This will be a little bit overwhelming. So what you can do is, are you seeing API reference? So in AWS, there are different services. What is the service which you want to speak with? So for example, uh, we will be trying to do elaborate note of it, but I'm just trying to tell these are all classes that are written. So let me go to something more easier. So S3, right? So what is it I'm trying to do now? I'm trying to create an S3 client. Okay, fine, sir. List all buckets. Print the bucket names. ఇవన్నీ ఎందుకు వస్తున్నాయంటే వాళ్ళు ఆల్రెడీ కోడ్ రాసి పెట్టారు. యు ఆర్ కాలింగ్ దోస్ లైబ్రరీస్. ఇఫ్ యూ రిమెంబర్ వైల్ వీ ఆర్ ట్రైంగ్ టు రైట్ ఎ CLI application, we have written our own methods and we were calling their methods. Now these are the methods which are written by AWS. Now let me basically try to run this program. Python main dot. So is it getting my accounts? How is the credential working? That I'll try to speak in a specific examples. But if you try to look into it, if I go to the AWS console, enable chesam kada. Okay. Man, now all of these guys are making MFA mandatory. Even that story is same for Azure also. So you can use Microsoft Authenticator for AWS also. Okay, so let me click on S3. Even whether you know S3 or don't know S3, it doesn't matter. In my account, if you try to see, are you seeing something like Qt test flow log, AWS quick setup, patch policy test from CLI, reference apps, so how is this working? This is working because I was indirectly calling methods. So for example, okay, whenever you try to click on list buckets, what has to happen when you click on list buckets is basically mentioned in this documentation. So if you try to go with list buckets, sorry, saying S3 colon list buckets, you can give what are the maximum number of buckets. These are the parameters. And when you give that, I'll be giving you this written in this format. And now you process that format. So what is this? Anything in Python which starts with curly braces is a dictionary. So what I'm getting is a dictionary. So if you try to see response of buckets, so he has taken this. In this, he might have multiple names. And then that is printed bucket of name. Okay. Now in the same way, if I want Azure's functionality, so Azure SDK for Python. So over here, it will try to tell you that how do you basically deal with the stuff. So for example, if I want to create a resource group, so what is it he trying to tell? He's trying to tell that you can, in Python, there are two, or in Azure, there are two environments. One is you can install the whole package, or you can install only the package that has necessary functions. So while I'm dealing with resource groups, I need only these two packages. So I can do pip install Azure Management Resource, Azure Identity Resource. And then what is he trying to tell? He's trying to get credentials, and then he's getting resource management class, and then he's doing create or update. ఈ కోడ్ అంతా మనం రాయిలా వాళ్ళు రాసి పెట్టారు దాన్ని వాడుకుంటున్నాం రైట్ సో డెవాప్స్ ఇంజనీర్కి ఎంతకంటే అద్భుతాలు ఎవడు కోరుకోడు సో యాజ్ ఎ డెవాప్స్ ఇంజనీర్ ఇఫ్ యూ నో హౌ టు బేసికలీ క్రియేట్ సమ్ రిసోర్సెస్ విత్ పైథన్ and then call them from serverless frameworks, that is more than enough. Okay, but as I said, we are trying to achieve a little bit more than that. Okay, did you understood, sir? So while I was trying to write a command line functions, it was all my code. We have created something like what was it, password generator, and then I was calling that password generator from a CLI code. Here, rather than calling our code, we are calling some of the code that was written by someone else. How will I know that? So generally, whenever Azure SDK reference document. So whenever you go with Azure Python SDK reference. Okay. So they will basically try to give you the whole documentation. Okay. Now, depending on what you are trying to achieve. So for example, I want to create something like storage account. So let me try to see storage or storage account. Okay. Now let me click on storage. So I think there is something called as Azure Blob Storage. Now you click on this. So then it will try to show you the open documentation of it and then how to use this, how to create a client, what are the types of credentials which you can use. So what are the different clients, what are the different blob types, examples, you will find hell lot of. Not only examples are a minimal list, but if you want to basically see API reference documentation, then you would have all of this. So what are the blob classes? What are the different things that exist? So for example, you want to blob type. So how do you create a blob type? So blob type constructor, this looks like this. What are the values which you can pass? What are the fields that exist? Okay. So now one more thing which you might be doing is, where is, uh, okay, overview. Okay. Right. So here he is basically trying to tell there is a storage management client class. Now basically search for what is storage management. So if you try to look into it, Microsoft gives you lots of examples and also an API reference documentation. Now the story is not different for Google also. Okay. So Google SDK for Python. Python client libraries. Okay, then it tries to tell that for every platform you have something. Now let us assume that I want to uh, deal with Google Cloud Storage. So Google Cloud Storage is a package of it. Now it tries to tell that what is the product documentation, what is the client library documentation, how to start quickly. So he's trying to tell that create an active environment. So are you saying source activate? So this is how you would do it. And then you can select a project, enable billing, set up authentication, right? But the whole idea over here is let it be anything, the story remains same. Okay. So create the stuff and then he's trying to let I give lot of samples for you. They are all in samples folder. So you get into snippets and then he's trying to tell that, okay, what is that you want to do? So I want to create a storage account default owner. So what is it trying to tell? From google.cloud import storage, add bucket configuration. So what is that they are trying to do? They are trying to basically import and then they're trying to use those functions. All you need to do is figure out that. And for that API reference is a easier way for it. Am I clear on this, sir? So generally in organizations, you might also add this copyright. Okay, మీ ఆర్గనైజేషన్ లో కోడ్ రాస్తుంటే డెవలపర్ కోడ్ రాస్తుంది డెవాప్స్ కోడ్ కింద ఎవరు పట్టించుకోడు కానీ బట్ స్టిల్ generally you might see this copyrights that we are supposed to add for every file. Okay, right, fine. Then we have written doc strings, right? Storage delete file.py. So how to delete a file, how to delete a blob. He's trying to delete a blob. He's giving sys.argv and first argument and second argument. Yes. So you take anything, the story is same, sir. Even if you want to use a machine learning, top-notch machine learning library like PyTorch, it is a Python package. All you need to do is you need to understand what you are trying to do and then apply Python on top of it. Okay. So are we clear on this, sir? Yes. So whenever you are trying to interact with anything, you would need to install a Python package. And in that Python package, what you get is you get those packages downloaded into your system. Those are nothing but Python codes. Okay. Now all you need to do is how to call them. Okay. And for that, generally you will have decent documentation and you have to read through the documentation. For the people who know a little bit of Terraform, in Terraform, if you remember, we can create our own modules or use someone else's modules. In Ansible, we can create our own roles or use someone else's roles. So this is like using someone else's roles. So when you're using someone else's roles, you need to understand what they have written. You need not go through code, but at least you need to go through their documentation. Okay, right. For resource creation, which one is preferred, Terraform or Python scripting? Obviously, Terraform, sir. Sir, we are not using Python to replace what we do with Terraform, but there are certain things which Terraform might not be able to do. In those cases, this will come into play. And you are trying to create your own tooling. You can never create a tooling with Terraform. Terraform can only create and delete, create, update, and delete infrastructure. So in those cases, how will you automate? Yeah, right. It is never recommended to go with a full package in Google and Azure. So install only the packages which you are using, not the complete stuff. Okay, right. So are we clear on this stuff? Yes. So do we understand the concept of virtual environment and packages now? Yes. By the way, if you are interested, ante nenu adbhutalu chestunnanu. Okay. So how to create a Python package and Python distribution package. ఇది మీకు ఇంట్రెస్టింగ్ గా ఉంటే ఇది కూడా చేయొచ్చు. సో try creating a package and then you need to set up your own stuff. I will not be doing this activity because I am not interested in distributing my code across to others. వేరే వాళ్ళది నేను వాడుకోగలిగితే చాలా ఎక్కువ. But if you want, just like AWS has submitted Boto 3, you can also submit whatever work which you have done so that the others will be able to use it. So if you want to do that, you can basically worry doing in this fashion. If you want, you can do this. Okay, but we are not going to distribute our own code. We will try to use how can we use other stuff. Are we clear on this, sir? Yes. So do we understand activating virtual environment and then installing necessary packages? Okay, right. Now in the pip3 command, you can do a little bit of research. So go to Perplexity AI and how to install specific version using pip. Okay, so it says pip install package number is equals to version number. So how to delete the package? So right, how to update the package? You have started the code, but now new version has came in. ఇంతకు మించి మీరు చేసే పనులు ఏమి ఉండవు. Okay, this I am not discussing in the class because this I expect you guys to know. Pip install will always give the latest version. If you want a specific version, you have to use double equals to. By mistake, if you have installed a package and if you want to delete it from your virtual environment, pip uninstall. If your existing version has an older version of the package, use upgrade command. That's it. ఇంతకు మించి మనం ఏం చేయం ప్యాకేజీలో. And whenever you make any changes, remember that you have to update your requirements.txt. Every time you make changes into your packages, the command doesn't change. All you have to do is pip freeze requirements.txt, because this means it will overwrite the whole file. So every time you are executing, it is trying to recreate the whole file. మీరు అలా కాకుండా ఇలా పెట్టారు అనుకోండి, అప్పుడు పగులుద్ది. This is append. Okay, so always use a single stuff. Okay, do organizations maintain standard requirements.txt with approved versions to be used? That's true, sir. That's very much true. When my organization is developing an enterprise product with Python, in that cases, what would happen is my pip will be speaking with JFrog, and my packages will be used according to what is approved by my organization. Okay, we are not in that zone. Okay, because we are not trying to develop banking products and all other stuff. We will not have very much strict requirements, but generally you might have some kind of approvals. Okay, that's the reason why JFrog exists. JFrog will have all the approved Java libraries, .NET libraries, Python library, whatever your organization is using, so that you just use whatever is approved. Even if you use something else during CI/CD, it will fail. Okay, because CI/CD pipelines are going to resolve dependencies from JFrog. Okay, ఒకవేళ డెవలపర్ సొంతంగా ఏమైనా వాడేసినా సిఏసిడి చేసినప్పుడు కొత్త వర్షన్ వాడితే ఆ కొత్త వర్షన్ యాక్చువల్ బిల్డ్ లోకి వెళ్దాం, బికాస్ యాక్చువల్ బిల్డ్స్ ఆర్ నాట్ గివెన్ బై డెవలపర్స్, దే ఆర్ గివెన్ బై డెవాప్స్ ఇంజనీర్స్ యాజ్ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ our CI/CD pipelines, where we use only the versions that are approved by our organization. Okay, so what is JFrog? JFrog is the place where you can store all of these packages. Okay, right. So it is an artifact repository. Fine then. So let us come back to our point, which is testing Python code. So for that, what I'll try to do is let me try to go with cd dot dot. Make dir unit test, cd unit test, and let me try to create make dir number underscore utils dot number underscore utils. Okay, so in this I'll not be doing anything fancy. Here I'll be trying to create a project. Okay, since I am creating this project, what I'll try to do is let me try to create a virtual environment over here. Okay, so from now onwards you would see me using virtual environment. So Python -m venv.venv. So generally you as a developer need not open terminal at all. You can open as many terminals as you want in Visual Studio Code itself. Again, so for that what you need to do is Control-Shift-P, focus, terminal. Generally you would see me in the class doing this because this has very less font size and it might be difficult for the people who are watching in the classroom to figure out that. When I'm working in isolation, I generally don't use terminal at all. So there is no need if I'm opening Visual Studio Code. Sorry, seeing .venv got created? Yeah. Okay. Now .venv /scripts/activate. Okay, sir. Now let me try to create my first file, which is main.py. Okay, and then I'll be trying to create something called as utils.py. So in utils.py, I'll be trying to write, I'll be just trying to define that this module will have reusable number utilities. Okay, so define is even of number. Okay, sir. Yeah, right. So let us assume that this is the function which I have written. Okay, now I want to test this function. I want to test this function. So how can I test this function? So for example, how to test, forget about it. So what do you think are the values which I need to be passing? Pass a even number and pass a odd number and then check whether it is okay, fine. Now let me try to create something called as test.py. In test.py, what I'll try to do is from utils import. So what is the function which I have written? Is underscore even. Okay, now I need to 1 minute, sir. Let me disable this because okay, sir. Now what I need to do is I need to check something like is underscore even of 4 should return me true. Okay, is underscore even of 3 should return me false. At least these are the two tests. Okay. Now you can use anything for me, it doesn't matter. Program is what ichara. Program is or real Python is what as I said I would like. So in the notes I'll be basically giving this link, but you can take anything that makes sense to you. Okay. So refer here. I am not even speaking about unit test case, but the advantage of unit test case is unit test case is a standard library package. You need not install anything external. Okay. So if I want to use PyTest, the first thing is PyTest is a package. So I need to install pip install PyTest. Okay. And whenever you do this, pip freeze requirements.txt. And whenever you are trying to write tests, I want those tests to be executed whenever developer makes changes. So that is the reason what they were trying to tell us. First install. Okay. Okay. So first install PyTest. Okay. The best idea of PyTest is if you are using unit test, right? You need to follow some stuff. So from unit test, import test case, and then try test casing. This is standard library. PyTest lo anta circus em undadu. PyTest lo just create any function which starts with test. So for example, all I need to do is define test underscore even underscore or test underscore is underscore even underscore simple. Okay. Now is underscore even of 4 should be equivalent to true. Do you agree with me on this, sir? Okay. Just ensure that you add something called as assert. Okay. Assert ante adi correct ga unda leda ani. Okay. Now assert of is underscore of even of equals to. So if this test is passing, do you agree that? Okay. So this test simple cases of even or odd. Did you bother enti? Okay. He's trying to tell that don't use this is true and is false. These are better code practices. Okay. And ekkada enti bother unnecessary parenthesis after assert. Okay. He's trying to tell that you can do this also. Okay. Now ekkada problem enti missing module docstring. Okay. Fine. So this is test cases in PyTest. So let me try to go over here. Okay. And you can do a couple of things. First, I'll try to show you the normal stuff. Okay. So start dot. And then let me try to open this in terminal. And let me try to run the test cases in command line. Okay. So dot venv scripts activate. Okay. And now all I have to do is just simply call PyTest. Okay. Oh, is it? Why is it so? So what is missing over here? Testing, configure Python tests. I'm using PyTest framework in root directory. There is no module import in PyTest, sir. That's the best part. Okay. Sorry, saying number utils. Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay, so why it is not collecting? There is some structure which I'm missing. Test. Okay, rename test underscore utils dot. Okay, fine, sir. ఈ టెస్ట్ ఫోల్డర్ అవసరం లేదు, ఏం అవసరం లేదు. Let me delete this. Let me create test underscore. The file should start with test underscore. That's it. బా మొత్తం పోయింది. సర్లేండి, పోయిన నష్టం. ఓకే, సత్తమా. Okay, this module test the utils. So define test underscore is underscore even underscore simple. Okay, now from utils import is underscore even. Now assert is even of 4 is true. Assert is underscore even of 3 is false. Okay. Simple case for is underscore even. All ensure the test underscore. That is what you need to remember for method and for module name also. Now let me go over here and then let me try to execute PyTest. Sorry, saying collected one item and one test got passed. Okay. Now in your system you will be seeing this testing. Okay. So if you configure this testing from here, you can try to find out all the tests. And the best part of this is you can put a breakpoint over here and then you can click to run the tests, or you can click this to debug the test. Okay. Found duplicate. Run and debug. Then get the Python debugger. Short. 1 minute, sir. This should ideally work. But this is not the actual folder structure which we'll be following. I've just wanted to show you how it works out. Okay, fine. If this is not working, Visual Studio Code part, I'll be trying to show it to you. But now let us try to do that. By mistake, developer has made some change. Even definition match it. So number percentage 2 equal to 0 undalsindi, by mistake 1 అయిపోయింది. Now, after developer submits the code, the first thing which is supposed to do is PyTest. Are you seeing it is getting an error? You said that when is even of 4 is true, but actually what is happening? It is becoming false. Okay. So that is an advantage of basically trying to write unit test cases. Are we clear on this, sir? And the easier way to write unit test case is PyTest, because all you have to follow is convention. File name should be test underscore, method name should be test underscore. The moment you do that, you can basically try to run through all of the tests. This configuration, I'll try to give you the right folder structure and all that stuff. But are we clear on this aspect? Okay. Now, generally, for anything which we are trying to do, now developer has to ensure that before committing the code, all the unit test case results are true. So now he has fixed the issue back. Otherwise, it will go into the code, even no one is testing, and then you might basically get the errors. For the people who have been following DevOps for some time, And if you have been part of my Jenkins classes, I might have executed MVN test. When we executed MVN test, most of the Java test cases which were written like this were executing on Spring Pet Clinic, where it was trying to check whether all the Pet Clinic code is tested correctly or not. If it basically gives some error results, this will fail. Are we clear on this? Yeah. So now, generally, whenever the things fail, it will try to tell you why the things have basically failed. So I'll try to configure all of this, but for this moment, what I'll try to do is I'll try to basically do git status, and then let me try to add only 3 files: git add utils.py, test underscore utils, requirements dot txt. Okay. So from now on, whatever code which we would oh, నేను రాసిన పైత్యం అది. There is one extra git hook which is written in uh, Python over there. Okay. Right, sir. So I have written a Python code which basically tries to tell me what is your commit ID. And then are you saying these are the changes which you have done? Okay. Right. So this is a simple case, but we will try to learn it in a little bit better way. So refer here for hello unit tests in PyTest. There will obviously be code coverage, sir. No matter whatever language which you are working on, the moment you are doing unit testing, there will be a code coverage. We'll be setting up all of that. Okay. Right. And by the way, for code coverage, it is not necessary that you have to use only SonarQube. Yeah. SonarQube measures on the basis of test stuff. That's it. Okay. So are we clear on this? For Python, you can use many tools. SonarQube is one of them. Yeah. Right. SonarQube has nothing to do with Java. That's the point which I was trying to make. Yeah. Right, sir. So what we will try to do is let us try to come up with the actual organizational structure on how you should be organizing your main code and test code, and how to write those dependencies. And then we will basically try to write some application around it. Okay, right? So from now on, whatever code which you are trying to write, let us have a habit of basically writing unit tests. Okay, just like how Ramu was trying to speak about just now about code coverage, we will also speak about what code coverage is all about. Okay, fine, sir. So let us go out for a break, and then we will continue this discussion. Okay. Okay, sir. There is one question which says that in the last class we have discussed how to store passwords in a text file and how to store them in an encrypted file. Will we be discussing that? I will not be discussing or doing that. I'll try to tell you what has to be done, and that is your job. Okay, because in Python there are packages which can encrypt and decrypt now. Okay, so all you need to do is find a pip package for that and try to convert that. I'll try to give you hints. If you are unable to do, I don't mind doing it. Okay, but I want you guys to attempt it first. Okay, sir. Sir, I have spoken about generator, sir. I said that whenever you're using generator, it is a lazy initialization. So, for example, whenever you are trying to fetch all the commits in Git, so you will be trying to write for loop to get all the commits, but you will not be returning them in a list, but you will be writing a yield statement. With yield, what would happen is lazy initialization will happen. Lazy initialization basically means that you are not populating the list and then sending all the list at one shot. Whenever one value is fetched, it will be sent to the callee. So with that, what would happen is both the codes will be running basically whoever is using and whatever is generating. That's the reason why we call it as generator. Whenever you are trying to basically get any items which take time, we use generators. Yeah, right. So 1 minute. 1 minute, sir. Just give me a time, and I have to fetch some notes. Let me fetch that, and then. Right, sir. Good. So whenever you are using PyTest, what is the best way to organize your code? I think I've tried to organize that. So what you need to do is you need to create a folder structure which looks like this. So which will have src folder and test folder. All the test stuff goes. All of your project basically goes in here. And in addition to that, we'll be trying to write these two extra files. Okay. So one is coverage RC, the other one is PyTest ini. And in that, what are the contents which we are supposed to write? We will be trying to do this. So let me try to create one simple project with respect to this, and then let us try to generate some code coverage, and then we'll be proceeding further. So now cd dot make dir. Let me try to call this project as what should I call? Okay, best practice folder. So let me get into best practice and let me open Visual Studio Code over here. So what is that he is trying to tell? He is trying to tell that whenever you are working with this, ensure that your folder structure is like this. This is best project for me. Now, in this best practice, I'll be trying to add two folders, SRC and tests. So SRC, or I think I can basically create it better from command line. Make the test. And then what are the other files which he is trying to tell? Requirements.txt. This anyway from pip will generate. Okay. And then new hyphen item dot coverage RC. New hyphen item is create an empty file. pytest.ini. Okay. And then let me also create requirements.txt. Okay, sir. So now, if you want to basically organize your source code, inside the source code, create your packages name. So let me try to create a new package. Package is nothing but a folder. So package is a folder with double_init.py. Okay. So now in this, what is the package which I'll be trying to create? Let me try to create finance sim. And inside this finance, I'll be trying to create a new file which is double_init.py. Okay, fine, sir. And okay, and here I'm supposed to write this, and let me try to write calculators.py. These are some financial calculators. That is basically what I'm mean by that. And then tests, and okay, rename tests. And inside the tests also try to add double_init.py. And then he's trying to tell that add test modules. So here I'll be trying to add test underscore calculators dot py. Any problem so far? Okay, right. And then in pytest.ini, blindly add this. So what this means is try to coverage, and here you have to give your packages name. Here you have to give your packages name. Okay. And then in coverage configuration, try to copy this, and then you try to tell that src/finance. Okay. And then over here, you are trying to tell that I'm not interested in this line. If you try to see this line, exclude that line because that is not part of my code coverage. Okay. Right. And okay. Now for now, let me try to activate the virtual environment. So Python -m venv dot vn. Okay. Okay, sir. Now, generally, you need to select that interpreter, which is venv. And then here you can activate venv scripts activate. Now you need to install two packages, pip install pytest and pytest-cov coverage. Pytest and pytest coverage. Now pip freeze requirements.txt. Now if you go into requirements.txt, we'll be trying to basically see this stuff. Now let me go into stuff, and then let me try to call app.py. And then over here, this is the main application. Probably here I'm trying to tell that if double_name is equals to double_ main, and then first I've not written anything here. Okay. Now let me go to the calculators, and then let me try to write a simple calculator test and then its coverage. Okay. So define is underscore. It is not a financial calculator, but I know that. So number. Okay. Is even a radham. అక్కడ వరకు కూడా అవసరం. Okay. Return number percentage 2 is equivalent to 0. This function checks if the number is even or odd. Returns true if even, false otherwise. Okay, sir. Now for this function also to follow best practice, I should have some doc string. Okay. This will have calculators, or this module will have calculators. Any problems so far? Okay. Now let me go into test underscore calculators, and then this module tests calculators. Okay, sir. Now define test underscore is underscore even underscore simple cases. So this function tests the basic behavior. Okay, right, sir. Now I'll be trying to write assert. Okay, but where will I get that module? So I'll be trying to tell that from src dot finance dot calculators import is underscore even. Is underscore even of 4 should be true. Assert of is even of 5 is false. Okay. Now let me ask Perplexity AI some questions. Okay. Is 0 even number? Okay. Yes, 0 is classified as even number. Okay, right. Is minus 22 an even number? Minus 2 is also an even number, because these are the cases which I need to basically consider. Okay, right. So is 2.1 an even number? No. Okay, so I have to test all of these cases. Okay, right. So the next thing which I'll be trying to do is define test underscore is underscore even underscore. I am calling it as tricky. So according to what we have Googled right now, this function tests the corner cases. Assert of is underscore even of 0 is true. Assert of is underscore even of 2.1 is false. Okay, నాకు తెలిసిన కేసులన్నీ రాశాను. ఈ 4 నా ఫంక్షన్ కరెక్ట్గా పనిచేస్తే కోడ్ బాగున్నట్టే. ఎస్ ఆర్ నో? So if I'm trying to satisfy all of these conditions, my function is working effectively. Now, what I'll try to do is, let us go back to the documentation, and then he's trying to tell that add the dependencies and all that stuff, and then he's trying to tell that just go into the folder and then execute PyTest. Run all the tests in the test folder and generate a code coverage report based on PyTest. So let me basically go over here. Idena? Idi kaadanukunta. Okay. .venv scripts activate. Okay, ఇక్కడ పని చేయదు అనుకుంటా. Okay, so let me try to take the folder path. Unit tests, best practice, .venv scripts and activate, and then let me execute PyTest. So what is it trying to tell? It is trying to tell that whatever tests which you have written 100% they are correct. And then now if you try to look at code coverage, the code coverage is 100%. But when it comes to app.py, I have not written any code. So I have not written any test cases. So the code coverage is 0% over here. And then he is trying to tell that if you basically try to look into this, okay, it creates something called as coverage XML file. Okay. Now, if you want a HTML coverage, what you can do is just try executing this command. src slash, what is my package? Finance. Okay. Now, it tries to tell that it creates a directory called as HTML coverage directory. And in this, if you go to the index.html, it is trying to tell that this is the coverage of it. And now if you try to look into functions, it is trying to tell that src finance calculators.py is even. So all of your code was covered. Okay. Covered ante enti mana unit test case rasi emem areas touch chesamani. Okay. Right. So let me try to extend a little bit to understand coverage better. So let me go to calculators.py and ప్రస్తుతానికి app.py తో మనకి పెద్ద పని ఏం లేదు కాబట్టి దీన్ని కామెంట్ చేసేద్దాం మొత్తం. అనవసరంగా కవరేజ్ రిపోర్ట్లో చిరాగ్గా ఉంటుంది. ఓకే, నౌ డిఫైన్ ఈజ్ అండర్ స్కోర్ ప్రైమ్ ఆఫ్ నంబర్. సో this function checks if the number is prime or not. So number is of type int. This is your number, and this function returns true if prime, false otherwise. False otherwise. Okay, sir. Fine then. So now how will I basically check that? For index in range of number, if number percentage index is equals to 0, return false, otherwise return true. Antena? Yeah, right. So let me go to test underscore calculators, and then let me try to write define test underscore is underscore prime, okay, underscore simple. So this function test if the number is, or if the prime number function is prime is working fine with simple cases. So I'll try to tell that assert. First I need to get is prime. So let me try to get is underscore prime. So assert is underscore prime of 7 is true. Okay, I have tested only this part. Now let me try to go over here and then try to execute. So I can execute this PyTest. So when I execute this PyTest, okay, right. Now the first thing is my code is wrong. In the code wrong, if the number is prime or not, I should start. It is trying to tell that you are getting 0 division error. The reason is range should be from 2 to number. So are you saying unit test is trying to tell that there is something that is going wrong? Yeah. Now I do this. So then it says, okay, everything is perfect. But what is the code coverage of calculators? 82. So now if you want a better one, try to cover this HTML report and then basically refresh this. Are you seeing calculators? What is the percentage, sir? 82%. Let me click on this. What is that 82? Because I have never written a case where it is not a prime number. Prime number కాని కేసు నేను టెస్ట్ చేయాల. టెస్ట్ చేయకపోతే రిటర్న్ ఫాల్స్ అన్నది ఎప్పుడైనా పని చేస్తుందా? So from my code, from my unit test, I have never called return false. Since I have never called return false, what it is trying to tell is your code coverage is only 82 because you have never covered this false scenario. You have not covered this false scenario. So now what is that I need to do? This is my ineffective testing. So I'll try to tell that assert is underscore prime of 6 is false. Now let me try to execute the same stuff again. So right now, is it 100% now? Yeah. Why? Because if you try to refresh this, I have covered false scenario as well as true scenario. Am I clear on code coverage now? So as a developer, I am supposed to try to test my code with all the possible possibilities which might come to my function, so that each part is covered. Did you understood this? నేను 6 పాస్ చేయనప్పుడు అసలు ఫాల్స్ కోడ్ కాల్ అవ్వాల. ఫాల్స్ కోడ్ కాల్ అవ్వలేదు కాబట్టి 82% అయిపోయింది కోడ్ కవరేజ్. ఇది ఆ క్యాలిక్యులేటర్స్ ఫంక్షన్స్. And generally in your organization, you will have code coverage percentage standard as quality gate for 90% at least. So as a developer, whenever I'm trying to write the code, I'm supposed to test this functionality so that I know whether all the code is working correctly or not. Are we clear on this? Okay. Right, sir. Okay. Good. Now this is basically being done. Now, if you try to look into it, let us go to Perplexity again. Is 0 and prime number. Okay, 0 is not a. Okay. Now let me go over here and then let me try to write define test underscore is underscore prime underscore tricky. This function tests with tricky stuff. So assert of is underscore prime of 0 is ఏముండాలి? False. Okay. Now let me try to basically call PyTest. ఏమవుతుంది మంది? Our code is telling that it is a true. So is our code working correctly? Did you understand the point, sir? జనరల్గా మనం జీరో ఎవడెత్తాలే అనుకుంటాం. జీరో ఇచ్చినప్పుడు జీరో వ్యాలిడ్ యూస్ కేసు అవుతే అసలు మీరు అలౌ చేయకూడదు. ఓకే, ఇఫ్ జీరో ఇస్ అ ఇన్వాలిడ్ కేస్, డోంట్ అలౌ ద యూజర్ టు పాస్ జీరో. ఓకే, రైట్. నౌ లెట్ మీ ఆస్క్ వన్ మోర్ క్వశ్చన్. ఈజ్ 1 a prime number? No, 1 is not considered to be a prime number. Good. So then all I'll try to do is, I'll try to go to calculators, and then I'll try to tell that if number is less than 2, then return false. Am I clear on this, sir? Okay. Now let us assume that again, if number is less than 2, and let us assume that I have not tested this use case, then the coverage will not be joined. Oh, is this the case? ఇదే కదా నంబర్ యూటిల్స్, రైట్. ఇది ఎందుకు ఈ దరిద్రం క్లోజ్ చేద్దాం అక్కడ, రైట్. సో లెట్ మీ ట్రై టు పై టెస్ట్. సో when I do PyTest, what is the code coverage which I got? Calculators.py 87. Why 87? Because there was no case which was covering this lines. Because what are the values which I passed? I passed 7 and 6. When I pass 7 and 6, will they touch this? So now let me go to the test, and then let me try to tell that assert is underscore prime of 1 is false. Okay, now PyTest. Did I got 100% coverage? And is it working correctly? Yeah. Right, sir. Are you getting the point, sir? Developer ఏ కోడ్ రాసినా ఇలాగే రాయాల్సిందే. This is what is expected from developers. Okay, but unfortunately not many learn unit testing at all. They would not learn completely unit testing, they skip unit testing. Okay, but organizations will never allow you writing the code without unit testing. Okay, do we store this HTML coverage in local or do get ignored? No, sir. Why will I cover? Dilesh, I think you were part of our Azure DevOps discussions, right? And Jenkins discussions. No? Only multi-cloud. అందుకే ఇవన్నీ జరుగుతున్నాయి. Right. Fine, sir. Generally, coverages will be generated for every commit that is being done by the developer from CI/CD tools. Okay. Okay. Right then. So now let me ask one more stuff. Okay, before I ask one more stuff, let me try. I want you to Google a little bit. Okay, I'll Google a little bit, and also let us now try to click on this. Okay, are you seeing this testing? మీ Visual Studio Code లో కనబడుతుందా ఇది టెస్టింగ్ అన్నది? In your Visual Studio Code, are you seeing testing? Yes or no? Just try to click on this, and then try to click on configure Python test. Then it will ask what is the framework which you are using. I am using what framework? PyTest. Just select this PyTest. Then it will ask, select the directory where you contain the tests. I contain the tests in test folder. Now wait for some time, and then you will try to see that. Okay, this is what you have. Ikkadena మనం రాసిన test, and then what you can do is you can debug the individual test. So for example, I can put a breakpoint over here, and then I can click on debug. ఇది ఎందుకు అవుతుంది? ఫౌండ్ డూప్లికేట్ ఇన్ ENV. For you try, it should work. I think I might have messed up something. For you, I think it should work, sir. Wow. 1 minute, sir. Something that has gone. ఎందుకు పని చేస్తలేదు ఇది? Okay. Fine, let me figure out what it is. Why I'm getting this error. Okay, this testing interface, I'll try to show it to you why it is coming. Because of late, I've been messing up with this. Okay, I'll try to show this test setup in Visual Studio Code in the next session. Leave it for now. Okay, sir. ఇప్పుడు దీనికి వచ్చిన సార్ ఓకే 2 లైన్లు ఉన్నాయంట. ఫైన్. నా get add src test dot coverage rc pytest dot ini requirements dot txt get status. Okay. One minute, sir. Bah. Daridram. Get. Okay, chatte mein alladrandi. So get commit -m added organizing test okay, sir. So okay, sir. Ramu, this is cruel, Ramu. You're asking how to build a project similar to Java, right? Why will I build a Python project? Okay. Because if you have attended the first few sessions of Python, I have said that whenever you try to run Python, it directly compiles during runtime itself. Okay, there is no compilation step that is required. Okay. సార్ మీరు సీరియల్ లాగా మధ్యలోకి వచ్చి ఆ పాత్ర ఎందుకు అంటే నేను ఏడలేను ఇప్పుడు, ఇవన్నీ అయిపోయినాయి. రైట్, ఫైన్ దెన్. నా I've given that link. I've shared that link in the notes section, or in the question section. Can anyone share that in the Telegram? Okay. So refer here for the. Okay, sir. So first thing which I want is okay. Try to have a look at that. Okay. So go through the code which is shared. Did you got the link in Telegram? Yeah, right. So and the next thing is find out what is type hinting in Python. We know that Python is a dynamically typed language. Okay. But there is a concept which is called as type hinting. So we will try to introduce the type hinting. But before I introduce type hinting, I want you to just Google for that. Okay. జావా స్క్రిప్ట్ ఉన్నంగా టైప్ స్క్రిప్ట్ ఎందుకు వచ్చిందో కారణం సేమ్ రైట్ ఫైన్ సార్ just go through the code first and then search for this. Okay, sir. So what is type hinting? Okay. So even though we know that Python is a dynamically typed language, it is generally important for the users to give an expectation of what they are supposed to pass. So for that, what you are supposed to do is whenever you are trying to create your arguments, this is the argument type and this is the return type. Okay. So this is generally considered as a good practice. And in this day and age, this is something which everyone follows. Okay. So you can basically try to give union types. You can give list types whenever you are trying to return a list. So ideally what I should be doing is, this is what I should be doing. Number colon int, and this returns boolean, and here number colon int, and this returns. Okay. Now in this case, what you're trying to tell is you're trying to type hint the user saying that you're not supposed to pass other types. Okay. Now let me try doing this. Assert assert is underscore prime of 1.1.1 is false. Let me try to run this. PyTest. Okay. So it will not stop you from passing the values, but it is trying to clearly give you a hint that the number which you are supposed to pass is an integer, because Python cannot stop that. Okay. For that, okay, let us try to check. Okay. How to check if the value passed is int. Okay. Are you saying each instance? Okay. If you want to be very strict, what you can try to tell us? Okay. If, okay, I'll not try to do this for even number. I'll try to do this for prime number. If is instance of, okay, object number comma int. If that is not the case, okay, now I want to basically try to tell to the user that you have done something wrong. You have done something wrong. So how can I try to tell something is wrong? In Python, we have something called as exception handling. So let me give programmings because it is very simple to understand. Okay. I'm not trying to write about type hinting. Okay. So exception handling in Python. Refer. Oh. Here. Okay. Now what is saying? So you will try to write try block, and then here you get an expect. Okay. Whenever some error happens, you are basically expecting that. Okay. So what I'll try to do is, if I want to raise an error, I can try to raise errors over here. Raising an error, raising an exception. Okay. I will try to raise an exception saying that value error of number. So you are not supposed to pass anything other than integer. Okay. Right. Now whoever is basically calling this function, what they are supposed to do is, let us assume that I'll try to write from src dot finance dot calculators import is prime. So what they are supposed to do is try. And in your documentation, you are supposed to write this stuff. So raises, what it will raise? Value error if the number is not int. Okay. Now whoever is calling this code, what they are supposed to do is they are supposed to write try is underscore prime of any number of their choice, and then they are supposed to write catch. Okay, value error as e. Okay, sorry, not catch. Here it is. In other languages it is catch. Here it is except. Okay, print invalid value passed, and then there will be a finally block. It is not necessary for you to write finally. Okay, let me try to show you how it works. Print test. Okay, let me put a breakpoint over here, and let me try to tell that I want to debug this file. Okay, ila debugging kudaradu. Okay, because debugging doesn't, you have to set up the whole project. So quickly what will I do is ఈ app.py ని ఇక్కడికి లాగేద్దాం. అన్ని ఇవన్నీ చేస్తే ఓకే రైట్. Okay, sir. Fine. Now, what is the value which I'm passing? 10. Is 10 a problematic scenario? No. So it will try to find out is prime. No errors occur. Then it will come to finally. Okay. So when is finally executing? When the errors don't come. So it has printed test. Now let me try to find 10.1. Is it a problematic scenario? Because 10.1 is float. Now let me try to debug this. Again it will come. Now in this case, it is not an instance and it is throwing an error. Raises is an error. So then it will come here. And it will print that invalid value passed. And then it will still come into finally. So finally will execute whether the error occurs or doesn't occur. Except will occur when the error is matching. When the error is matching. And try is a block where you can probably get errors. Okay, ఎక్కడైతే ఎర్రర్లు వచ్చే అవకాశం ఉందో అదంతా ట్రైలో పడేస్తా. సో जहां भी एरर्स आने का मौका है वो सब ट्राई में रहेगा. स्पेसिफिक एरर को हैंडल करने का तरीका है एक्सेप्ट, गिव योर एरर टाइप and then try to write whatever handling which you do with respect to that. And finally is a block which gets executed despite whether you get an error or whether you don't get an error. If there is any handling which you need to do, you will try doing that. Now let me go over here. Are you seeing here? Says dividing by 0. Divide by 0 is a problem in all the programming languages. So here what is the error which you get? You get basically it gets into except. So it is dangerous to write an except block without anything. That means it will try to handle all the errors. Anni errorlu handle అయిపోతుంది. Ideally, good practice is you should handle specific errors. Okay. So now, for example, if I try to tell that value error, నేను కోడ్ లో కొన్ని తప్పులు కావాలని చేస్తాను. ఓకే, except print. Okay, error. Okay, now let me go into is prime and then let me try to tell that I want to start from index is equals to 0. When number divided by index, number divided by 0 is a problem. So if I try to go to app.py and debug this code, okay, fine. First, let me make it valid. So you will not be getting value error in this case. Are you seeing it came here? Yeah. So then it prints error then it prints test. If you want to handle any errors, you will be trying to write except. But if you try to look into it, no exception type has been specified, which is not a good idea. Okay. So if you try to open this website, it tries to tell that writing this is not a good idea. Always try to put specific errors. Okay. Do you understand this, sir? Okay. So generally, whenever we are trying to work with many of the scenarios, you might get into error causing situations. So whenever you are calling something which might cause an error, then you will be trying to write try catch block. Whenever you are writing code, and then if you need to raise an error, then you would be basically trying to do this. Okay. So now if you try to look into it, catching specific exceptions, how do you do that? Okay. So try with else, don't even worry about it. Okay. So now try finally. Okay. So in Python, what you can do is you have built-in exception classes. Okay. Built-in exceptions. So whenever you want to basically create your own exceptions, okay, if you try to run this code, you will get all the built-in exceptions. These are all the exceptions which might happen. Arithmetic error, assertion error, attribute error, different types of errors. Not only this, what you can do is you can create your own errors also. నాకు ఇవి సరిపోవు అనుకుంటే you can create your own exceptions. So to create a custom exception, you have to derive from the existing exception. Okay. So these are custom exceptions. ఈ custom exception వరకు మీరు వెళ్ళాలన్నది నా ఆశ, వెళ్ళరు అన్నది నా నమ్మకం, right? So but generally this is something which you would, because Python exceptions will not solve your business problems. So for example, I'm trying to write a code where I'm trying to write about e-commerce projects. So now when user is trying to buy an item which is not present in inventory, so then I might create my own error saying that out of stock exception. Out of stock is my business problem. It is not Python's problem, or it is not programming problem. Generally, developers create their own exceptions also. Okay. These are very much handy whenever you are trying to look into the logs and figure out what is going wrong. Okay. That is how developers will come to know what has happened. Okay. Right. So now this is all fine. Now when I have exceptions, I can create my own exceptions and then I can use it. But let us come back to our problem. Okay. I know how to create exceptions and I know how to basically try to look into it. But if you try to look into it, now when this happens, it is not false anymore. It raises an error. Antena? 1.1 pass cheyte emoddi? Is underscore prime of 1.1. This will give me a value error. Okay. So for this, what I'll try to do is import PyTest. And then I'll try to tell that with PyTest dot, okay, raises. Okay. What is an expected exception? Value error. Okay. Try to call eSpy. Okay. So in this case, what you are trying to do is you are trying to tell that, okay, I am writing a code and this code expects an exception. And ఇది పాస్ చేసినప్పుడు exception రావాలి. This is from test code. We are expecting exception. Okay. So if you want, PyTest dot raises okay. All right. So with PyTest dot raises runtime error. Okay. So he is basically trying to write here raises a value error with PyTest dot raises a value error. If you want, you can match the message also. This is matching the message. Matching message work but if it raises a value error, that is more than enough, then I'll be trying to write this. Okay, because if you don't try to write this, your test also will fail. Okay, ఒకసారి రాయకుండా చూద్దాం. Assert is underscore prime of 1.1 is false. ఇంతకు ముందు ఇదే రాసింది. Now let me go and try to run PyTest. Sorry, saying your test is failing because what is it trying to tell? Value error 1.1. But ideally, what see that is happening over here? Oh. So now try to run the same code. Is it working? Yeah. Now are we covering all the scenarios? We have covered the error scenario, we have covered the positive scenario, and we have covered the negative scenario. That's it. Are we clear on this? Yes. So whenever you are trying to call AWS code, Boto3 code, there might be some cases where exceptions you might occur. So for example, you are calling Boto3 without giving your access key and secret key. Then you will get invalid credential error. How will you handle that? Try except block. Okay. So whenever you are trying to write unit test cases, and when you call some functionality, if it needs an error, then you would be doing this. Make sense, sir? Yeah. Right. So let me try to remove this add.py. మనకి add.py అయితే పెద్ద పని ఏం లేదు ప్రస్తుతానికి. Where is that? Okay, right. Get status. Okay. Okay. Get marchemano. Oh. ఇందులో చూస్తే తెల్లారొద్దు కానీ. So I think I've changed calculators.py and test underscore calculators. So git add src finance calculators.py and git add test underscore calculators.py, git commit -m added changes, git. Does it make sense, sir? So now you can go through the same folder and you will be trying to see that exception scenario also. Okay. So yeah. So do we understand type hinting and exception scenarios, sir? Refer here for changes for raising and expecting errors in unit tests. To test the exception error, since we have already written the code in the actual files, why are we again raising the error in the unit test file? Oh boy. Sir, did I say that this is equivalent to raising error? Dilesh, I want answer from you. Did I say that PyTest.raises raises an error or expects an error? What did I say? PyTest.raises, what does that method do? Then what is your question valid, sir? Yeah, right. నేను అడిగిన దాన్ని మళ్ళీ మీరు తప్పుగా అర్థం చేసుకుని ఆ తప్పుగా అర్థం చేసుకుని మీరు చెప్పారని రాయద్దు. ఓకే, The point is pytest.raises expects an error in the underlying code block. That is what I said. Yeah. If you don't do it in that way, then what would happen? Your test will fail saying that some exception has been raised. So this is PyTest way of trying to tell that this error has been raised within the underlying block. Okay. Right, sir. Good. Fine then. So we have discussed so far, right? In now what I want to do is we want to understand something called as JSON and YAML. Okay. So I hope everyone understands dictionary. So we will try to write complex dictionaries and convert them into JSON and YAML files, because JSON and YAML is something which will hit you all the time, no matter whatever cloud or whatever DevOps tools you are trying to basically go through. And then we will start looking at APIs. So what are web APIs and how to build them. Then we will be trying to speak of how to run those web applications on cloud, so on PaaS services. And my focus is on serverless. So we'll be speaking about Lambda, Azure functions, and Google functions. So in unnai poddunne evaru raatla. Okay. And సాయంత్రాలు ఎవరు వచ్చే పరిస్థితి లేదు. ఓకే. సో ఏం చేద్దాం? Vikram, when you want to unmute, you type that you want to unmute, but I can't unmute in between, sir. That is not possible. I can't keep you unmuted. Whenever there is a request, kindly type me in question, and then I'll try to unmute. Okay. Because if I start unmuting it every time, okay, then if you want me to give it a try, I will show you on Tuesday, and then you tell me whether you want to keep me unmuting. I don't have any issue, sir. Okay. నాకు పెళ్ళి అయిపోయింది, ప్రశ్నలకు సమాధానం అలవాటు అయిపోయింది, నాకేం ఇబ్బంది లేదు. ఓకే, రైట్. సో బట్ ఫర్ యూ ఇట్ వుడ్ బి problematic scenario. Okay, so whenever you want me to unmute, kindly ask me the question, and when you ask me the question, I will never ignore. Have you ever seen me doing that, sir? Yeah. Right. If there is anything where you want me to unmute, and if it is because generally when I unmute, right, there are two problems. If you are asking the question about what is happening in the class, it is useful. But if you ask, sir, yesterday I didn't came, can you repeat the class again? Then this is distraction. So if you have a question at the end of the session, you just kindly type saying that I want to ask a question, so that it will be useful for you and as well as me. Is that okay, sir? Yeah. Right, you just ask, I'll try to definitely unmute, sir. I'll never reject that. Okay, but during the class I'll not keep it unmuted. Okay, so again I'm trying to tell us we have lots of things to cover. Okay, morning itself mana paristhiti bala, so morning itself not many people came, and out of this 10% will come in the evening. Okay, so now shall I basically I don't want to take a break, sir, but the problem is I don't take a break because I don't want you to divert out of Python. नाके फल लैक कर. Okay, so मुझे बहुत सारे काम है, फिर भी मैं क्लासेस इसलिए लेता हूं ताकि आपका एजुकेशन का फ्लो डिस्टर्ब ना हो. Okay, लेकिन अगर आप ही नहीं आ रहे हो तो मैं भी छुट्टी ले लेता हूं. Shall we have a break of 1 week? Yeah. నాకు ఎప్పటి నుండో ఏంటి తుఫాన్లని వరదలని చూడాల దగ్గర నుండి. ఇప్పుడు ఆ అవకాశం ఉంది, మళ్ళీ కావాలంటే కూడా దొరకదో. రైట్. సో let us take a break of 1 week. Let us have celebrations because we have achieved a lot, right? Yeah. నాగన్ సార్ టూర్ వెళ్దామా? ఎందుకు, దూకేద్దాం. Right. So the point is if there are people who come, I don't have any complaint about people who come. Just because others are not coming, people who are coming will get impacted. Now whom should I care for? వచ్చే వాళ్ళ గురించి ఆలోచించమంటారా, రాని వాళ్ళ గురించి ఆలోచించమంటారా? I don't mind, because the point is I could have gone for a vacation yesterday itself. But this is I can't, I don't even take a personal break, because I think that okay, నేను ఈ ఒక్క టాపిక్ వల్ల ఎవరికన్నా ఏమైనా అవుద్దేమో అని నేను ఆలోచిస్తాను. అనవసరంగా నేను ఆలోచనలు మానేయలేము. ఎవడలా పోతే నాకెందుకు, ఎవడైతే నాకేంటా సినిమా పేరు. రైట్ రైట్ ఫైన్ సార్. సో ద పాయింట్ ఇస్, if you guys on a majority want to take a break, kindly tell me that, because I have also lot. నేను సరిపోదా శనివారం కూడా చూడలా. Yesterday also I was coming and trying to write some microservice for some one of the works which we have. Okay, right? So if you want to take a break, I kindly communicate it to me, because I also need a break. ఇది నా ఏమంటున్నారు, అభ్యర్థిస్తున్నా మీతో. I am begging. So if you basically want to take a break, kindly inform me also. Okay, generally I would in some cases, for example in GCP, for last couple of days I have not taken the classes, because from last 1 week I have headache issues. But still I thought that at least Python should continue for everyone, because this is mandatory. నేను కన్వీనియంట్ గా తీసుకొచ్చాను, నన్ను ఎవడు అడగడు కూడా. ఓకే, because generally I don't take breaks every time until unless there is no other way around. Okay, so again I'm trying to tell, shall we have the class in the evening, or shall I go to Saripoda Shanivaram? Yeah, I am unmuting all of you, sir, because I am very unhappy with the attendance of today.
Sir, regarding the evening class, sir, I think it is better we have it in the. I have requested and they have put it today, sir. So if it is there in the app itself, we will be aware and we can schedule it and we can be available for the class, sir. That is one of the reasons probably many people would have not joined, sir, because earlier it was half an hour before which was updated in the Telegram, sir, and the other one was that 1 hour before, sir. So if like how you put it for the classes regularly in the app, if we put it probably there can be more people joining, sir. And one more request is that probably we can also have working sessions where you need not come, sir. People who are in the team can join together and help each other and work, sir.
Unfortunately, that is all true if it is not Python, because
yes,
our lab assistants also are learning Python like you. There are people who are not very well versed with whatever Python which I am trying to speak. If it was about Terraform, if it was about Kubernetes, I can even some of the Linux sessions are taken by lab assistants, right? So they can help you out on all of those stuffs. But if it is Python, unfortunately, it is me.
Okay, sir. I agree.
Yeah, right.
Because like small things, we don't want to disturb you. If people who are there
not an issue, sir, not an issue. The point which I would want to have is the basic idea over here is to have a decent learning journey. I'm not trying to tell that you will become expert with Python with all of this, but these things with some of the elaborate practice can basically make you little bit better than competition, sir. The only thing which you have to always think when you are in this room is you should be better than the competition who is going to compute you in your interview. So yes, one sir. Way to easily overcome most of the DevOps engineers and cloud engineers is coding. Okay, so if you have to be better than your competition, programming will help you. So that's the only greed which I had. And yeah, so because it takes pain for me also to wake up every day. I also want to have a break. And if you don't know me personally, probably I'm the most laziest person you would ever meet. Okay, yeah. So that apart from this, in all the other areas I'm lazy, right? So so kindly, if you are not coming, okay, I'm not trying to speak to you only Vikram sir, but to everyone, if you are not coming, kindly inform me earlier, because I can also go to movies. Okay, రైట్.
Agreed,
మీకు
sir.
ఇంకా నాకన్నా జీవితం ఎక్కువ ఉంటది. నాది ఆల్మోస్ట్ సగ జీవితానికి వచ్చాను. ఇప్పుడు మొన్నటి వరకు మోకాళ్ళ లోతు శ్మశానంలో ఉండేవాడిని. ఇప్పుడు నడుము లోతుకి వచ్చేసినాను. సగం వయసు అయిపోతుంది. ఇంకా సగమే మిగిలింది. సో నేను మీకన్నా ఎక్కువ ఆస్వాదించాలి కరెక్ట్గా మాట్లాడుకుంటే. రైట్. సో ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ నాట్ కమింగ్, రైట్, వాట్ ఈజ్ యువర్ ఏజ్ చెప్పు. ఎందుకు లేండి సార్ ఇప్పుడు. రైట్. మిడ్వే అన్నానుగా 40 సార్. ఓకే, మిడ్ అంటే 80 బతుకుతానన్న నా ఉద్దేశం కాదు, యావరేజ్ ఏజ్ చెప్తున్నాను. రైట్. The whole point over here is if you are not coming, kindly tell me, because I want to also have some activities. But you are so energetic. Yeah, meet me after classes, then you will come to know about my energy. Right, sir. Okay, so what shall we do in the evening? Shall we have a class or not? Okay, I'll not believe in your words. Let us go practically. I'm trying to create a poll.
Yeah, that is better.
ఎందుకంటే ఇప్పుడు సగం మంది ఇప్పుడు ఇటు తిడతాడులే ఎందుకు వచ్చింది దరిద్రం అని చెప్పి అని మళ్ళీ మీరు చేయాల్సిన పనులు మీరు చేశారు అనుకోండి. ఓకే, రైట్. Shall we have class on this Sunday? Not every Sunday. ఓకే సార్, ఐ హ్యావ్ లాంచ్డ్ ద పోల్ సార్. ఇప్పుడు మీ పరిస్థితి ఏంటి? హౌ మెనీ ఆఫ్ యూ డోంట్ హెజిటేట్. లేదంటే నేను సినిమాకి వెళ్తాను, మీరు నాకు నష్టమేం కలిగేస్తున్నారు. నాకు ఇంకా మీరు సాయంత్రం క్లాస్ లేదంటే నేను సినిమా చూసుకోవచ్చు. సార్ ఇక్కడ ఓటింగ్ కలెక్ట్ చేసి ఎంతో చెప్పండి, నాకు అకౌంట్ యాడ్ చేద్దాం. వచ్చి రానన్న వాళ్ళు గుర్తెట్టుకోండి, వస్తానని చెప్పి. సార్ ఓన్లీ 71%, 72% ఓటెడ్. వస్తారని రానంటే మాత్రం అది ఇంకా దారుణం. రానంటే రానని చెప్పండి. If you don't want to come, it's okay. Tell I don't want to come. I want to have a break. But if you try to tell yes, and if you don't come, that is more haunting, right? Sir, only 84% voted. How about others? అంటే కొంతమంది ఇప్పుడు ఎలా కూడా ఉన్నారా, ఆన్ చేసి టీవీలు చూసుకున్నారా? ఎంతమంది సార్? Sir, 83% voted. Whoever have not voted, kindly continue. As of now, it is 50-50. Yes. అద్భుతంగా ఉంది. అద్భుతం సార్. సరే నేను అంటున్నాను కాదు కానీ చూడండి, 50% yes and 50% no.
Sir, now you can take a call, sir, because you have power to vote. V2 power, sir.
Sir, my power was to have a class itself. That's the reason there is a class announced. But if the people don't come, right, then there is no point. Slowly, no has moved ahead, sir.
Family takes over, sir.
Yeah. God. సాయంత్రం క్లాస్ క్యాన్సిల్ చేసేయమనండి. బట్ నెక్స్ట్ వీకెండ్ యూఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు స్ట్రెచ్ ఆన్ దిస్. ఈ పాపం నెక్స్ట్ వారమే అనుభవిద్దాం, రైట్? సో రైట్ నౌ no has won by a margin, very less margin. ఓకే, ఇంకా రేపు కూడా వద్దంటే నేను ఊరికి పోతాను వారం. ఓకే, రైట్, fine sir. So today will not be having a session, okay, in the evening, but tomorrow we are having, and next weekend we are going to stretch, because we have to speak about serverless. We have to understand how to write Lambda functions, Azure functions, and Google functions, right? So using that, how to automate some of the cloud related activities. We need to do all of that. So for that we need to stretch. But tomorrow morning everyone is coming. No అన్నోళ్ళు కూడా రేపు పొద్దున్న వస్తున్నారు. నో అంటే వాళ్ళ సాయంత్రానికి, రేపు పొద్దునకి కాదు, రైట్? సో యా, tomorrow is Monday, holiday, right? No holiday, sir. Yesterday you got a holiday, right? Yeah, I have announced it on the last class, right? So no holiday on Monday this time, because we have given a holiday on Saturday, right? Okay. గవర్నమెంట్ ఆఫీసర్ లాగా సెలవుల కోసం ఎంత పెంచబడుతుంది, ఎంత వెనకాల పడుతున్నారేంటి సార్ అసలు? ఓకే. So when I was working in a first organization, right, I used to go to the office at 7 o'clock in the morning. Night it used to be 11 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, when I was returning back home, one of the person used to tell, అప్పుడే వెళ్ళిపోతున్నాం ఏంట్రా అని. పొద్దున 7ంటికి వచ్చి రాత్రి 11ంటికి వెళ్తుంటే ఆడు తీరిగ్గా లేట్గా వచ్చి నన్ను అప్పుడే వెళ్ళిపోతున్నాం ఏంటని. ఓకే, మీకు కూడా అలా ఒక ఏర్పాటు చేస్తే పోద్ది, రైట్? ఫైన్ సార్, fine. Then evening class, let us cancel that. Okay. Right, sir. Thank you.